G'day folks, Wren here, and it's time for another Five Friday. So for this Five Friday, I'm going to recommend 5 queer books with a historical setting. Most of these are historical romance, I think. Historical settings, not usually my vibe, but I have a few that I'm like, those are good. Also, I'm trying to escape this one beam of sunlight. I have to keep like shuffling forward. It's blinding me. I actually just looked directly in it and now there's a bright spot. I'm so smart. So the first book I'm going to recommend is Caroline's Heart by Austen Chant. This is a Western fantasy historical romance book. So it is set in a Western time period because we have cowboys, you know, they're working on a ranch. There's no like modern technologies or anything. It is very much a period piece. There is also some magical elements to this because we have a witch, and the ranch owner has a bit of a deal with this witch. The ranch owner will provide the witch with usually a lot of leathers, like leather goods that have been used, and she will do some like medicinal things for people in the town or for this ranch owner, what have you. And one day a different ranch hand is chosen to give the goods to this witch, but our ranch hand happens to give the items of leather to this witch, and he kind of like falls for her a little bit, and he also sees a new life for himself with her. So our ranch hand is a trans man, and he's been living well enough on this ranch. He doesn't get misgendered there, which is like the main thing. He's in this really manly setting, and so he feels mostly good about that, but he definitely feels like there's more to life than this ranch. So he ends up kind of teaming along with this witch, and the witch is actually trying to bring back her lost lover, and the magic that she uses is really, really interesting. So she gets these old used items and she uses them in her spell because those used items, they have the energy that someone put into that item. Like if it's really well loved, it'll have a lot of energy, so she can use that in her spell to help bring back her loved one. And I thought that kind of magic was really, really interesting. It touches on a lot of trans issues in this kind of historical fantasy setting. It's really, really good. I had lots of emotions, and I really loved our couple. They're adorable, and the world that it was around and the magic, and it was really interesting. And like, I just want Austen Chant to write more books. Like, please write more books. They're really good. Next up is one of my favourite historical romances of all time. If I had to give you a list of like my top 20 all-time favourite books, this would be in it. And that is A Gentleman Never Keeps Score by Cat Sebastian. This is the second in the Seducing the Sedgwick series, and I love this book. It's so good. So we have 2 male main characters in this, so it is a queer relationship that way. We have a black man of middle lower class, and we have a white man of lower upper class. So there's a bit of a class difference between the two. So Hartley is the Sedgwick brother, so the series follows 3 different brothers in their relationships. And so Hartley has a bit of a interesting history, and he had to do a lot of things to help provide for his brothers, but those things that he had to do have left a lot of scars, and he definitely has PTSD. And the PTSD representation in this really hit me hard because same bro, same. It hit really hard for me, but it was done in a really good way, and I appreciated how Sam helped Hartley through some of his PTSD episodes. And it's a lot of Hartley trying to figure out what he wants in life, because he's done everything for his brothers or to make sure that he had a roof over his head. He hasn't had time to figure out what he might want to do. He's just kind of going along with things. And then Sam is a former boxer and he now runs his own bar, but because he is a black man, he gets a lot of grief from the police. He ends up like meeting with Hartley at one point. They form a relationship. It's a really sweet relationship and also a bit like reluctant on both of their parts because they each have different issues about it. So Hartley's issue is the trauma from his past, but Sam's issue is their class system because he kind of sees Hartley as slumming it with him, or, you know, trying out someone from a lower class, you know. So there are some issues and Sam is just really involved in his pub and trying to keep it afloat and make it successful. And that is really difficult as a black man in this historical setting, which is like 1800s something. Like, oh, I love this book. It's the best. I can't describe it well enough to just be like, read this book. It's really good. It's really cute. And like Cat Sebastian is one of the staples for queer historical books. Like, they're doing some good work. Next up is The Lady's Guide to Celestial Mechanics by Olivia Waite. This is the first in the Feminine Pursuits trilogy. This is sapphic and again I think set in the 1800s, and this is about two women holding their own. So one of the things I love most about this book is the female power of it, because obviously during this time women have very little rights, if they have rights at all, which is awful. And in this one in particular we have two women who are interested in science, but they can't like professionally be interested in science because they're women. And it's a lot of these two trying to stake a claim in a particular society that would just like, they just want to be recognized for the work that they are doing because they are highly intelligent people and they deserve the right to have their work shown at this society. And it's really just like fighting for that, which I love so much. And the relationship between these two is really, really sweet because we have one of the women is kind of dealing from a bit of domestic abuse, and so she's a bit more soft-spoken and a bit shyer when it comes to these things, whereas our other woman is like kind of helping her through this, and they do end up falling for each other and they just make such this strong bond together. It's like nothing can tear them down, nothing can stand in their way. They are going to do the most to be together and be seen as worthy people because they are, but society is awful at this time period. Ooh, I love the way I wrote this review. I appreciated the way their sex scenes were written. Sexy but demure all at once, just like the women themselves. Look at me trying to be all fancy. Next up we have The Boy in the Red Dress by Kristen Lambert. This is a 1920s setting and this has a wide variety of queer characters. It's kind of more of a mystery than a romance, but there is obviously romance in it. We have a main character who you could probably call her bisexual. I can't remember if titles were used in this, but I would classify her as at least bisexual, potentially pansexual. I can't quite remember. And there is also a character who does drag, and they are a gay man as well, and there is a background relationship between him and his boyfriend. And this is about that drag artist being accused of murder, and then our main character trying to absolve them of that crime because, you know, they're friends, they know they didn't do it. And it's just the kind of almost like a bunch of ragtag teens trying to solve this murder. We do get to explore our main character's sexuality because you see her having a bit of crush on a boy and a crush on a girl, and you see how she's kind of dealing with being queer because she isn't as comfortable with it as our drag queen is with his sexuality. This is probably one of the few mysteries that like I've enjoyed. I do really love the 1920s scene. There's something just so electrifying about the 1920s and I can't describe it. It's hard to kind of talk about what this is about because I said it's a mystery. You're not meant to know too much about it, but it's good, and I think it's a really good YA historical. If you're looking to get into historical books, this might be a good place to start. If you're looking to get into mysteries, again, this might be a good place to start. I'm really annoyed about this sunbeam now because now it's right in my face. If I stay right back here and don't move, we won't get the sun. So the last book in the 5 Friday historical queers recommendations is My Lady's Lover by Nicola Davidson, and this is the first in the Surrey Sexual Freedom Society series. This is a really short novella, but it is sapphic and it is set, again, 1800s-ish. And it is about a lady and her lady's maid, so the woman that she has with her all the time that helps her dress and clean and takes care of her bedroom or something. However ladies' maids work, I'm not sure. It is about, so our lady, she is in a really awful relationship. Her husband is incredibly abusive. There is marital sexual assault. It could be triggering. I don't know. It wasn't for me, and sexual assault does trigger me, so take with that what you will. But it is about this husband going away for a week, I think it was. This woman and her lady's maid start something, and it all starts with one massage. That massage scene, yeah, it's good. So our lady's maid, she's always had a crush on her boss forever and ever, and she's never acted on it because, you know, she sees it as like it's a deviance, you know, because in those times it was seen that way by society, although it's still kind of seen that way now, but whatever. And she's never acted on it, but for some reason on this one day when she's giving her boss a massage, she goes a little lower down than normal. And the lady is pretty into it for most of the time. And then, you know, something breaks the spell and she's like, oh my gosh, you know, what's happening? But then they do start up this tentative relationship, and our lady's maid kind of teaches her boss pleasure because this woman has never experienced pleasure before because her husband is an asshole. It was really beautiful to see this woman like discovering herself and learning her body, and that, you know, she has power over her body. You know, she can do what she wants with her body and she can explore herself, and it's not a bad thing. Being able to be in a safe space with someone that cares for her, you know, having this romantic sexual relationship for the first time in her life, feeling happy and safe and loved, and it was beautiful to see that. And I really loved their little relationship. But what I also really loved about this book is this Surrey Sexual Freedom Society. So our lady's maid, she is a part of this little group who, I think there's only like 5 or so of them there, and they are all interested in sex that is not the societal norm, whatever that is. And so, you know, they talk about their feelings towards sex or towards people of a same gender or of multiple genders, and things that, you know, like their desires, and in like a safe space. It's a very safe space for them to talk about their feelings and share in this world of sexuality. And it's really beautiful that just like these bunch of random people have become friends and they support each other, and it's really beautiful. And I'm so keen to read the rest of this series. I don't know how many of them are necessarily queer, but I'm really excited to read the rest of this series because it sounds like it's going to be a good time. But that is it for my 5 Friday video today with our queer historical books. If you know of any more, please let me know down below because I'm always looking for more queer books. And I hope you enjoyed these recommendations. Please go check all these books out. They're really good. And anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye. The sun, it burns.